Hi. So this is a weird title for the video. Are we a scam? The answer is no, we're not a scam. And so the reason I'm making this video is because I've had at least two people uh, accuse us of being a scam for actually no basis. What they do is they see our API documentation where we require a seed phrase for certain endpoints, and then without trying it or talking to anybody or searching us up, um, they go and email us or contact us in some way, and harass us and say, I know you're from wherever, or I went to Stanford. So both people actually went on my LinkedIn and said, oh, I know you went to Stanford or whatever, tried to intimidate me, and and one even said that they were going to call the cops on us. For no reason. So this is very vitriolic. It's unproductive, and it's in some ways even hurtful to be accused of something you haven't actually done. So I decided to actually just make a video and explain why we're using the seed phrase for certain endpoints. And yeah, so the first thing I'll do is I'll just say I understand the discomfort, the general sort of I guess the general knowledge, the general practice is to never ever provide your seed phrase, and I think that's okay, and I think that's a good thing to do. The reality is that even though that is general knowledge, people still do it all the time, and it's still being done. Everyone does it. In fact, over 400,000 people do it with Phantom, which is the most popular wallet for Solana, and it's closed source. Um, so there is going to be some level of trust. Now, we're coming up with other solutions, and I'll go in them in the video. But ultimately, the question is, even after hearing that, what if you still don't like it? Well, you can contact us with solutions instead of harassing us, or you can just not use it. um, those are really your two options. If there's really something, and in fact, both cases, well, the most recent case, the person did not actually even need to use our thing. So you know, if you need to use it, yeah, then contact us and we'll try to come up with some sort of solution that will work for you. So, but yeah, so okay. So next thing is, so why do we require it for certain endpoints? Well, one example is one reason is that we just need to by definition. So one of the endpoints is derive public key. Okay, the only way to derive a public key is from the seed phrase, the combination of seed phrase, derivation path, and passphrase. Okay, and then we actually use that function for other functions within our API. So um, that's the first thing, is just by definition we have to. That's the only way we can write that function. Um, okay, and then the second thing is that we also need to authorize transactions. So if you're minting an NFT, you need to sign the transaction somehow. An API cannot work unless you are signing that transaction and somehow authorizing it with your seed phrase or your private key. That is how the blockchain works. So you need to authorize it. Um, so in some cases, yeah, an API is not the best solution for you, and that's okay. But some people need to be able to sort of perform these functions on their server, or automatically, or in a language that's not totally standard, like PHP. And there's no libraries for that. So we make it easy, right? So if you don't need to use it, and then yeah. So anyways, yeah. So that's why we require it. Okay. Um, and so then the next question is, why not make it open source? Um, Open source is a great way to get involved and give back to the community. We do want to do open source endpoints at some point. Um, and sorry, if you see me looking down, I wrote some notes. So some endpoints we will do in the future. Right now we're super busy, so it's not our top priority to open source things, but that is something we will do. Our top priority is making the business work. And for now, and in general, our business model will work because we do the hard work to make these functions secure, reliable, and fast. Okay, and we do that on our end. And then we get paid for it because it's closed source and the API calls are metered. If we open sourced it, there's still a use case for our product because you can use it in any language, but it's not as valuable because then anybody can write those functions. So that is how our business model works right now. Our business model might change. We're thinking currently of alternatives and parallels. One idea is to just, for example, minting an NFT, instead of authorizing the transaction, we spend our own SOL and do it, and then we meter you in US dollars. So we are thinking of alternatives, parallels, and for right now, it's a safe assumption though that our business model will stay the same in large part for the near future. So you can assume that that's not going to change. And then another question I've had was, how come we can't just tell you how to give you the code and tell you how to run it on our local machines? Well, we don't. One, we don't make money that way. That's not how our business model works. And two, that's not even optimal for most people. Most people need to be able, because if we just did that, right, it would just be in one language, okay? And then people need to be able to run this in, say, PHP. So our code is in Python. How do they do that, right? So, or Java, right? So, I mean, it's not even optimal for many people. Okay, and so, and I mentioned it earlier, but I just like to say again, there are many analogies to giving your seed to closed source. I mean, in the future, you'll need to be able to play games and authorize transactions. Are you really going to click authorize every time on your wallet? Every time the game wants to make a transaction? When you're making 10 transactions, every minute or something? No, you're going to auto approve it because you're going to trust the developers. So this is something that will happen. So then the question is, what are some solutions you can use for our API specifically? You can use a burner wallet, and you can only use that wallet on DevNet if you wish. Or you can create a burner wallet. A burner wallet is one you create that you can delete later, right? Not your main one. I suggest you do that anyways. You should. It's a good practice. And so we have API endpoints for creating wallets, so you can do it very easily. And then another solution is to create a new wallet and transfer just that amount of SOL to that wallet. Okay, so let's say you need to make a transaction, mint an NFT that only costs 0.01 SOL. Transaction fee is basically nothing. So send that SOL to that wallet, then pay for the NFT, right? And so then if you really don't trust us, worst case scenario, you lose 0.01 SOL, you lose $2. So that's one solution if you really, really don't trust us, but you still really want to use us. And then another solution is to simply not use it. Or you can create an account and sign up just with your email, and you can be on the mailing list to get updated about if we do change things. Feel free to suggest solutions. Please don't harass us. Okay, and then just, let's see, future roadmap. Yeah, so one thing we're going to do is create open source way to transfer stuff. So for example, an open source function where you can transfer everything out of a wallet. So let's say you create a burner wallet, you mint some NFTs, and then you want to transfer it. Instead of calling each function, you just transfer everything out of it to a public key. And that public key can be your main wallet, and there's no way we could have access to that. So that's one way. Another way is the metering, where we use our own SOL. I mentioned that earlier. And then the last way is something we need to implement, a private key instead of the seed phrase. So private key only allows access to one public key address, right? A seed phrase can allow access to any public key address you provide. Okay. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, please contact us without any harassment. Thank you. Have a great day.